The largest air armada ever seen was commanded by U.S. Air Force Lieutenant General Chuck Horner. He and his planners skillfully exploited the coalition's strengths and Iraq's weaknesses. Iraq had just finished an 8-year war with Iran. As a result of French and Soviet modernization, Iraq's Air Force was formidable, comprising over 700 aircraft. But its command and control was inflexible. The coalition was primarily an offensive force, with a high percentage of attacking aircraft. Phase 1 of the air campaign would pound the Iraqi military into submission before the ground war got underway. It would smash the centers of gravity that controlled Iraq's military might. Prussian military strategist Karl von Clausewitz had defined these as the point at which all energies should be directed. They included the targets which were vital to the Iraqi military: communication systems, power stations, and industrial facilities would be attacked. The main priority was to prevent Saddam's machinery of power from operating. Leadership bunkers would be destroyed early in the war. This would keep Saddam and his commanders mobile. It is almost impossible to run a military campaign when your headquarters are on the move every few hours. To make life more difficult for the Iraqi leadership, their communications would be destroyed. Their destruction during Phase 1 of the war would leave the Iraqi army paralyzed. Electricity lines and generators would also be hit to prevent military systems from operating. Saddam Hussein's terrifying weapons of mass destruction would be a high priority. Factories producing nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons were to be liquidated, along with Scud missiles and launchers. Saddam had used chemical weapons on Iraq's Kurdish population in 1988, and the coalition was taking no chances. By January 1991, when the air campaign began, over 600 targets had been identified. Of these, over 300 were earmarked for destruction during Phase 1. For Phase 1 to succeed, the Iraqi air defense network had to be destroyed. This would be done during Phase 2, the achievement of air superiority. Air Force bases would be smashed, destroying Iraqi warplanes on the ground. The planning of Phase 2 owed much to a U.S. Navy department called SPEAR. SPEAR was the Strike Protection, Evaluation, and Anti-Air Research Team. It constructed a complex picture of the Iraqi air defense network based on available intelligence. Iraq possessed highly advanced air defenses. French technicians had designed and installed Iraq's Carry system. This integrated Western and Soviet air defense technology. Soviet-era SA-2 and SA-3 missiles and anti-aircraft guns, together with Barlock and flat-face radars, were connected by state-of-the-art fiber optics. Most importantly, SPEAR had identified the key nodes, junctions in the system, which would paralyze the network if destroyed. It was imperative that these nodes were hit early in the conflict. Because air superiority was so vital, coalition commanders decided to run Phases 1 and 2 concurrently. Phase 3 would prepare the battlefield in Kuwait, and Saddam's forces would be cut off from Iraq. Tanks and artillery would be pounded. Central Command, or CENTCOM, in charge of the air campaign, hoped that these relentless attacks would crush Iraqi morale. CENTCOM believed that 50% of the Iraqi forces in Kuwait had to be destroyed if the ground offensive was to succeed. Complex computer models deduced that the coalition would need a month to destroy 75 to 80% of the enemy's vehicles. During Phase 4 of the campaign, coalition aircraft would support the liberation of Kuwait. The air campaign would see hundreds of aircraft flying in an area smaller than the size of France. Everything would be coordinated through the Air Tasking Order, or ATO. This was a daily 2-page document. Page 1 detailed targeting and mission data. Information was printed on electronic warfare and air defense support for the strike packages. Page 2 had details of radio frequencies, tanker support, combat search and rescue, and early warning coverage. The ATO also detailed the all-important routes to and from enemy airspace. All air movements were recorded on the document. Aircraft not following the ATO risked attack from friendly warplanes. The ATO would be the instruction book for the most complex air war ever conducted.